Good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday to all. It is Richie of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast, and wanted to speak on a lot of the happenings going on around the sports world today. Kind of do a quick rundown ahead of our movie show, which will be dropping at 5 p.m. tonight. Going to speak on the World Baseball Classic. This was a very, very exciting tournament, I gotta say. And what I found really interesting in this Japan-USA final, congrats to Japan on a well-deserved win, Shohei Ohtani facing off against Mike Trout to essentially decide the game. Just really interesting that on this stage you get to see teammates, in this case the two best players of the Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels, Anaheim, I should say, going face-to-face. Shohei Ohtani, between the World Baseball Classic and at the year's end approaching free agency, just really put on a show. We saw a little bit of everything in this. On previous shows, I have mentioned the unfortunate injury to Edwin Diaz when they beat the Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico went from jubilation to just sorrow, seeing their closer get injured. I also know that it's been sorrowful for the Mets, but you got to give Steve Cohen credit, doing everything in his power to just help out Edwin Diaz in a very unfortunate time. So I think it says a lot about the owner. I'm a Yankee fan. I like to talk a lot of smack about the Mets, but I must say that it's a good look for Uncle Stevie for sure. And I think the Mets are probably going to be in the market for a closer. But I got to say that this World Baseball Classic, I think from a marketing standpoint, did a really good job to get people's appetites wet for the upcoming baseball season. It definitely brings a dynamic that I don't think spring training would be able to do. So they did well. The World Baseball Classic, definitely a success in my eyes. My favorite basketball team lost a legend yesterday. Sad news. Willis Reed, beloved captain of the New York Knicks, passed away at the age of 80. His impact can't be stated perfectly, so I'm going to do my best. Game 7 of the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Wilt Chamberlain. It was a game that nobody expected Willis Reed to be able to compete in. When he came out of the tunnel, it essentially gave the New York Knicks an emotional boost. He only did score 2 points in that actual game. It was the first 2 points of the game. Walt Clyde Frazier, voice of the Knicks, threw down 36 points along with 19 assists and helped the Knicks win their first ever NBA title. As a sports fan and someone who played a lot of sports as a kid, although Willis Reed was before my time, I think the best way to explain it is he would be the first person that I witnessed from videos that would be considered a hero in his sport. The first act of courage, bravery, heroism, playing through a great deal of pain. I would say that Willis Reed was literally my first example. And when you go to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, and you see the banners up high, you see the 1970, the 1973. And if you're a Knicks fan, and if you're my age, you've never seen the Knicks win a championship in your lifetime. But, truly an icon that was lost. And, they are the standard for Knicks basketball. In the 90s, Patrick Ewing got the Knicks close multiple times. Sometimes his season ending at the hands of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, sometimes at the hands of Reggie Miller. And he did lose one finals to Hakeem Olajuwon, unfortunately, in 99. He wasn't able to compete due to a torn Achilles. But Willis Reed, Walt Clyde Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley, that is the standard of Knicks basketball. While many would recognize Ewing as the greatest Knick, I myself do. And a credit to the players on the 70s. They always paid great respect to Ewing, saying that he is indeed the best Knick. They actually stated that on Patrick Ewing night. But a very sad day for the Knick family. And I think the best way to pay homage to this man is to just try to win one, when no one necessarily thinks they could. I think the Knicks are trending in the right direction, but winning a championship this particular year would certainly be a shock to the world. But, it was a shock when Willis Reed played, and it was a shock when the Knicks beat the legendary Wilt Chamberlain and the Lakers. But prayers to his family, and just sad. Nothing more to say. He lived a full life, 80 years old. Speaking of Madison Square Garden, my New York Rangers are back in action tonight, visiting the Canes. Yesterday, frustrating 3-2 defeat at Madison Square Garden. This is a team that they did defeat last year in the playoffs, similar to the New York Knicks. The New York Rangers sport a better record on the road. It's been a mixed bag since acquiring Patrick Kane, but I believe that this team is more so built for the playoffs. I don't think this is about who has the best record. It's been proven time and time again that winning the President's Trophy doesn't guarantee you winning it all. It is definitely a marathon in the NHL, not a sprint. And you get some grueling series. I think that was a big reason why the Rangers fell a little short last year to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't necessarily think the Lightning were the better team. I just think the Lightning were the more rested and the more healthy team when they faced each other. But this Rangers team, when I look at the roster, definitely built to win a cup. Of course, Boston's going to have something to say about that, as well as the aforementioned Tampa Bay Lightning. But I expect the Rangers to go into Carolina and handle business. I do believe that's going to happen. But, I want to see more consistency as a Rangers fan. I want to see this team, putting together more continuity going into the playoffs. It's always difficult when you bring in new talent, and it also takes time to mesh with new teammates. But I do believe that this team is definitely primed to make a run at the ECF, possibly the Stanley Cup. We've got Lamar versus the Ravens. This has been an unfortunate situation through and through. While I do kind of agree with the organization to a level when I say that you do not give Lamar all the guaranteed money, similar to what, because I think what they did with Watson was irresponsible and kind of dumb. I think there has to be a happy medium where the Ravens have to show a little more appreciation for Lamar at the same time. It's a tough situation because, I think about it from the player standpoint. I'm not an owner. If I'm going to think about something in a sports-related way, I'm going to think about the guys that are actually on the field. And what I do know is Lamar Jackson's taken a lot of beatings for this team. And while I don't necessarily believe the offer that he left on the table was a bad one, I do understand why he wanted more, because of the fact that, his resume, he checks off a lot of boxes. He's a former league MVP. He's run for more yards in a single season than any other person that plays the quarterback position. He led the league in touchdown passes before. I get it, but not really sure how this is going to play out. And the more I look into this, I actually do think there's a possibility that Lamar Jackson may sit out this year to prove the ultimate point. Not really sure how this plays out. I know he has the support of his teammates. That goes without saying. But it's just an unfortunate situation because it really puts on full display the ugly side of the business. And, most recently, you take a guy like a Zeke Elliott, who was recently released by the Dallas Cowboys, and Emmitt Smith, kind of, I wouldn't say coming to his defense, but basically saying there is no loyalty in the sport. And I think Emmitt does have a sensitivity to that, because some may remember Emmitt actually did hold out against, during the Cowboys' title defense, and they did start off 0-2. He wanted to prove that he was that dude and that they couldn't win without him. And ultimately, Emmitt got what he wanted. At the time, I'm not sure how many fans viewed it. I was a kid. But what I will say is, looking at it as an adult, the more and more I look at the way that certain players are treated as cattle, and if I was Lamar, yes, I would be disappointed. I would be kind of upset. I mean, Daniel Jones got a phenomenal deal. I do think some of that has to do with less wear and tear on the body. But having said that, there has to be a happy medium where you feel that what you've already done matters. And I think in Lamar's situation, he's a tweener, and he's definitely going through it with that organization. Do I think he's better than Patrick Mahomes, or that he'll ever be, or that he's on the level of a Joe Burrow? Not necessarily, but Lamar Jackson is a top 10 quarterback in the league, and that's not something to sneeze at. We'll see how it plays out, but I ultimately think this leads to a divorce in the long run. My final thought, I had a little fun on Twitter over the course of the last couple of days. Wizards MJ and Lakers LeBron. I recently saw a post basically stating that LeBron at the age of 38 and 39 is superior to that of Michael Jordan at the age of 38 and 39. I'd like to point out that the 2001-2002 Washington Wizards won 37 games with Michael Jordan and a lot of bad players. The 2020-21 version of the Lakers won 33 games. And, this is with the likes of Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. So when I look at that failed experiment with all that talent, and I look at what MJ didn't have, it really trips me out, man. And it this mixed with the recent comments from Colin Cowherd, which I hit strongly on a previous show. I don't understand the MJ hate. I don't get it. I can understand the LeBron hate to a level because he's kind of done things that have rubbed people the wrong way on the court. Both phenomenal talents. I'm not going to question that. But when I think about what Michael Jordan was able to do in a shorter period of time and what he was able to accomplish in a shorter period of time than LeBron James, you factor in essentially 3 retirements, but the 2 that mattered were the 2 while he was still wearing a Chicago Bulls jersey. And the all-time points leader is not even a thing. LeBron still may have got it because of his longevity or how many years he put in. That's up for debate, but I just think it's a trip. LeBron James missed the playoffs twice, possibly 3 times. He's currently injured, but with the Lakers. Michael Jordan missed the playoffs twice in his whole career. LeBron James missed the playoffs in an era where they allow more teams into the postseason. I can't even believe that this is really debatable. And I've said this millions of times. If you're going to compare LeBron James to a player, you should compare him to the likes of a Scottie Pippen, to the likes of an Oscar Robertson. Compare him to players that did similar things that he did. Compare him to a Magic Johnson even. When we're talking about a prolific scorer / prolific defender like Michael Jordan, it's always going to be Kobe as the grand comparison because, quite frankly, I think the late, great Kobe Bryant was the closest thing that we would consider a clone to Mike. I don't hate LeBron. I'm just so tired of the recency bias of people saying that's the GOAT. Nobody recognized Kareem as the GOAT. He was the points leader, and no one certainly saw Karl Malone as the second best basketball player being the second in points. I just think it's yeah, good point. LeBron James got a lot more rest than MJ did. That's another thing I'd like to say. In this age 39 season, LeBron James has missed 47 games. Now, granted, he's averaging right around 30 a game, but he's missed 47 games. It's a lot tougher to maintain those high-scoring numbers when you play more back-to-backs. There were a lot more back-to-backs in yesterday's NBA. There were no rest days. When you didn't play, it was because you were legitimately hurt. And I know nobody forgot Michael Jordan's epic performance in Utah with the flu. It's astounding to me, truly astounding to me, the recency bias. I mean, more power to guys if they're allowing you to do it with the rest days. But I must say, I kind of share Charles Barkley's sentiments, guys like Anthony Edwards' sentiments. You're getting paid ridiculous money to play a game probably 4 days out of a 7-day week. Just play the games, guys. You're not setting the best example. You got firefighters that work round the clock shifts. Those guys are tired and those guys are saving lives. I'm sorry. It's just hard for an average person to relate. They have the best medically. They have the best nutritionally. This is not the era where I think anyone wants to see guys sitting out games, unless if you're legitimately hurt. I think I more or less covered everything I wanted to speak on here. Keep an eye at 5 p.m. We're going to be dropping a movie show that we worked on. Worked on that last evening. We will be dropping it. It is a pre-record. Hope you guys like it. And in the very near future, our AL East and AL West previews. Going to tell you how I think my Yankees are going to do this year. Zappy's going to definitely want to tell you about his Texas Rangers. Of course, I got some backup with my guy Idris, so that'll be a lot of fun to dive into. We'll be letting you guys know in the near future when we intend on dropping the final baseball shows. And these movie shows, basically, this one that we're dropping tonight was football versus baseball. Previous one was boxing versus basketball. So basically, the winners of both shows go on to more shows, and we're going to just constantly keep dropping these until I guess we figure out what's left standing. And it's funny because it's not always the best movie that wins. Sometimes it goes by matchups, similar to a game. Sometimes it goes by extra opinions because I don't always have final say in who advances my show or not. But it makes it for a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoy that tonight. I got to get out of here and get ready to work. But have a great, prosperous day, everyone. And if you haven't already, make it a point to like and subscribe to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day.